Schedule to box 12 rounds. Going over the rules in the dressing room, I expect you to obey my commands at all times. Most of all, protect yourself at all times. Touch gloves, good luck.
We've had Dylan White out hustling a particularly negative Robert Helenius. Last week, Derek Chisora came on too late against Agit Kabayel in that European title challenge. What of this matchup between American Jarrel Miller and Poland's Mariusz Wach? 52 wins between them and a real chance to make their mark and force their way into this heavyweight mix, which of course is fascinating.
Yeah, you know, it's pretty open aside from Joshua and Wilder, the two big guns. You know, the remaining heavyweights in the top, at the top of upper echelon, it's a pretty open division, you know. I think with one solid performance, a guy like this, a guy in a fight like this can really put himself at the forefront of a fight with either guy, Joshua or Wilder.
Referee David Fields is a pretty big guy, but he just adds to the weight in there. Almost 40 stone between these pairing of Jarrel Miller, who scaled 283.4 pounds, and that's light for him. Yeah. And Wach 268, 19 and 20 stone. Big, big heavyweights. And we know sometimes we can get a dramatic encounter and explosive power shots, and at others, a laborious, difficult affair. What will this be?
Yeah, nice right hand to the body by Wach, but Miller's been busy with his jab. He's able to land a right hand over the top. Notice Miller may not have a lot of experience at the upper level, but he's fought all kinds of fighting styles. He's fought boxing. He's fought K1 mixed martial arts. So he's a guy he's been a sparring partner of Vladimir Klitschko for about 6 training camps. You know, Jarrel has more experience than meets the eye. Being from Brooklyn, I know him well, and I know that you know, that's the reason for his calm demeanor in the ring, despite not having all the big experience as a professional boxer quite yet, as far as fights are concerned.
I remember visiting Vladimir's training camp a couple of times. We saw Miller there. He's had plenty of sparring, and with Deontay Wilder as well. And as Paulie was saying, a real mixed background, martial arts and kickboxing. But now it's this sport, and listen, he's undefeated. He's doing okay. Yeah,
and he breathes fighting, you know, with a guy who's fighting all kinds of arts, all kind of fighting styles, and all kinds of different combat sports. He's a guy who doesn't really get nervous in there, you know?
That's vastly experienced. Only 2 defeats on the record, that very one-sided one to Klitschko, and he was stopped late on against Alexander Povetkin, but he's pretty durable. A bit slow, but strong and tough.
Yeah, he is, and that's the reason why this is a step up for Miller. This is if Miller's able to perform against a guy like Wach, you know, it's sort of a coming out party for him at the upper echelon of the sport. But Wach is a guy who's going to make him earn it.
Looking for angles here, Miller. And the very tall 6'7.5" figure of Wach bearing down on him, even though it's Miller with the weight advantage. Wach trying to come on with a couple of jabs late on in the first. Welcome back, and getting gloved up and ready for battle, Daniel Jacobs. Big expectations, big crowd here tonight at the Nassau Coliseum in Long Island. Special day here in America, Vets Day, and with Remembrance Sunday back home tomorrow. Our thoughts are all with the armed forces, and there's been particular things here tonight, haven't they, to honor them?
Oh, absolutely. You know, it's a yearly holiday here in the States to remember the veterans that have fought in all the wars in the armed forces here in the U.S.
Yep, nice words from Cletus Selden in his interview. Back to the big boys in the ring. Jarrel Miller and Mariusz Wach, the 37-year-old from Poland, who's 8 years older than Miller and a big underdog here. Can he get a foothold behind that jab, or is it a bit too late in his career for this?
Well, Wach has a pretty decent jab when he uses it. It's just Miller's been a bit busier with it, you know, and Miller, just looking to fight a little bit more. You see on the inside, Wach moving his hands. When Wach puts up a little bit of effort, he's going to be able to have some success. It's just a matter of he can't let the younger Miller, the more determined Miller, be more determined. A lot of times that's what it comes down to when you're a prospect. You just want it more than the older, faded guy, you know?
Looking for the uppercut, the good body shots from Miller.
See, Wach attempted the uppercut but missed it. And he paid for it with a couple of uppercuts. I mean, a couple of body shots by Jarrel Miller.
Despite him being the heavier man, he's got the edge in hand speed, you'd feel, Miller. And as you're saying, Paulie, fresher and the momentum and very much the man on the way up. But Wach trying to get a combination together. He's got a good Polish contingent around him. Brought a big team with him from Krakow.
A good return fire by Miller there. Good exchanges here in this round, Adam.
Yep, good combinations from the pair of them. A nice right hand from Miller.
Oh, nice
and an uppercut. And there's blood from the nose of Wach, but
that was a nice sidestep by Jarrel Miller. Landed the uppercut, the sidestep, and came back with the right hand over the top.
Miller will be really aiming to shoot some sort of a statement out as he throws in the body shots. I mean, a lot of people will say he's not in the class, the league of a Deontay Wilder or an Anthony Joshua, but you know what? They need challengers, and if you can't make the big fight, they've got to make others.
Of course, and of course, if Jarrel Miller is able to keep winning, and as he raises up his level of opposition, keep winning, the fights become big, you know? So it's a matter of Jarrel Miller continuing to be impressive. He's been impressive this round.
Yeah, very good uppercut. He's looking to really bulldoze through Mariusz Wach. And it's excellent combinations here from Jarrel Miller, who talks a good game. And he's fighting one, and Wach comes back, and great action at the end of the second. The heavyweights starting to really warm up.
Czasami wyższym, luźnym, tym lewym, prawym, bo jest fajnie lewy, a ten prawy taki na tego lewą ręką.
Wilczewski, the trainer of Mariusz Wach, who's been planted on rather a high stool in the blue corner, and he literally just sort of fell upon it and started breathing really heavily.
He went back to the corner breathing really heavy as it was, you know. You'll see if he got if he recovered in those 60 seconds between rounds.
The Polish red and white colors of the 37-year-old from Poland in fight number 36. How much left in the tank, though, of Mariusz Wach, the former world title challenger? And Jarrel Miller in the red and black with those red boots, representing Brooklyn from the same Bedford-Stuyvesant area that raised Floyd Patterson, Mike Tyson, and Riddick Bowe. He's got to go some way to live up to those sort of names.
Absolutely, but he's got the character, you know, of a tough street kid from Brooklyn. You know, he's not scared to get in there, mix it up, and get his hands dirty.
Well, he came over to Eddie Hearn at the Mayweather-McGregor weigh-in and started telling him exactly what he could do with Anthony Joshua in the whole heavyweight division, and I think Eddie took a shine to him. He's a great character.
Yeah, he makes for entertaining interviews on TV, that's for sure. If he can keep winning, he'll be entertaining as a fighter as well. And that's what he's proven thus far in his career.
Right hand from Wach, and another one just on the temple area of Miller.
You see the calmness of Miller. You see what he does. This is what I mean about the experience. Even though he doesn't have the fights that you would think his record shows, he has the experience of all those training camps with Klitschko, fighting in K1. So he takes a shot. He doesn't really panic. He's on the inside. He's still creating space, looking for openings. He doesn't really take a step back or get befuddled just because he takes a shot or two.
There's already more intense action in this heavyweight matchup than there was in the whole of the Dylan White, Robert Helenius one. And here's Jarrel Miller putting his foot down on the pedal and trying to take the fight back into Mariusz Wach. But here he comes, the Polish heavyweight, with those right hands. This is good.
Yeah, it is good. Good exchanges. I'll tell you what Miller's doing, too, that the referee's not catching on to. When Wach dips down low, he uses his left hand to hold him behind the neck and throw a right-handed uppercut. He's done it a few times. He's landed a couple of good uppercuts, and the referee, David Fields, has not caught on to it. Veteran tricks, and I call it veteran tricks because this guy, again, has the experience fighting in all those sports.
Walks into an uppercut there, Wach. That chin's been pretty solid throughout his career as he tries to get another right hand, but he is blowing already. And Miller, pretty mobile.
You see, he breaks you mentally. I saw his last fight against Jarrel Washington where he continued to walk him down and do this kind of work to him, and eventually breaks you mentally because he just can't get him off you. And he's continuing to work, continuing to be in your face, and continuing to just muscle you backwards, landing these little pot shots and harder shots.
Yeah, another one there from Miller, whose work rate's high. And he's right inside the pocket, and he's giving Wach all sorts of trouble, especially when he makes it up close and personal, and Wach very tired.
Jak? Te dwie takie, druga była na pewno dla ciebie, ta mogła być dla niego. Pierwsza mogła być remisowa.
Another pretty torrid round, certainly in terms of physical stamina sapping for Mariusz Wach. Jarrel Miller just going about his work. And look, you know, they may not be as good as your Anthony Joshua's, your Deontay Wilders, your Tyson Furies, even your Joseph Parkers, but, you know, they're trying to ply their trade and they're trying to get the opportunity, aren't they? And
yeah, absolutely, and they also can continue to get better, as they move up the ladder. You know, that's kind of the point of these kind of fights. You gain experience, especially on a high level, and you hopefully get better and convince the big names to fight you.
Neither of them look in the same sort of physical shape, do they, as your Joshua's and Wilders, who are teak tough and perfectly sculptured. But, you know, heavyweights come in all shapes and sizes, and I think it'd be a nuisance to fight Jarrel Miller, and as you said, Jarrel Washington found it, and others have.
Yeah, but mentally he tries to break you. You see what he does? He's not landing the hardest shots, but you see he doesn't give ground. You see Wach throwing those shots. Look what he does. You see he tries to roll with them, tries to stay in your face, and therefore, you know, as a big man like Wach, who's not the most mobile guy, he's telling himself, man, I can't get this guy out of my face. He's breaking him mentally. He can't get a rest.
Typical Eastern European Mariusz Wach.
See, Wach throws a big right hand over the top. They're landed pretty good. Miller stayed in his range, threw a couple of body shots, and stays in his face.
Wach, decent amateur. His rise was all behind the jab when he was in control. Now the 37-year-old legs. He's being backed up more. He's trying to get that right hand springing, but he's not having the effect.
Look again. Watch Miller when he throws that uppercut. Watch what he does with the left hand. And again, these are not the hardest shots here by Miller. Just little pot shots. You see what he's doing? But he's staying in Wach's face. And that makes Wach say, man, I can't get this guy out of my face. What do I have to do to catch a breather? And it breaks you mentally. It makes you want to quit.
That was low from Miller.
You see again with the hand on top of the head by Miller. He threw the uppercut.
Yep, flying the uppercut, and he's just tapping him a little bit low there. Wach, no complaints from the big pole, who tries to come back with a huge right hand and back Miller up. It's a brave, gritty effort, this, from Wach to try and stay with Miller. But boy, he would have needed a very good training camp for 12 rounds of this. Wach trying to get a big combination going, really trying to dent Miller's confidence. Can he back him up?
Kind of lean on the head of Miller there, trying to tire him out, but Miller again, even if Miller is maybe feeling fatigue, he's not showing it. And again, he doesn't want to give Wach any confidence.
That's where Miller wants him as well. Backed up on those ropes, he could just tip and tap away and annoy and frustrate Mariusz Wach. Wach, who was meant to fight Dillian Whyte, that was postponed. This is a big opportunity for him if he can get his boxing going.
He is out of breath.
Former world champion John David Jackson on the pads there with Luis Arias. We saw him in June on the Kovalev Ward show, and he looked red hot. Can he step up in levels and shock Brooklyn and Daniel Jacobs tonight? We'll find out a little bit later. Brooklyn's own Jarrel Miller in the ring at the moment, trying to extend his unbeaten record in probably his toughest test to date against Mariusz Wach. It's one of those fights that you've got to get through to move to the next level and knock on the door for title shots.
Yeah, absolutely. And you beat a guy like Wach, who's obviously been in with some of the bigger names. You beat him convincingly the way Miller is thus far. And, you know, it solidifies your place among the top 10 heavyweights in the world.
He's winning every round, isn't he?
Yeah.
And look at this.
And he's feeling it. He's feeling it.
The combination, the hand speed's good.
Nothing on those shots by Wach. He's fatigued. Look, nothing on those shots. He's backing up. He can't get any momentum on that right hand. It's more of an arm punch. It's decent at scoring, but it's not breaking the will of Miller from coming forward and continuing to break his will.
There was a rumor swirling around this week, and you get many of them, that there was a slight injury problem to Mariusz Wach. But he's getting on with it. He's taking his lumps and bumps, and he's trying to just slow down the younger man. It's not happening. Right hand from Miller. We talk about his hand speed, but is it a bit slow motion when you compare him to the likes of Joshua and Wilder?
Well, it's a little slower, but I tell you where his hand speed is good. It's deceiving, because he looks like a chubby guy, but then he'll move around kind of in a kind of methodical way, moves his upper body, and then all of a sudden he'll snap out a quick jab and a quick 1-2. So the change of pace, the change of speed keeps it difficult to really time him.
We saw the arrival, of course, of Carlos Takam as well on the scene. With the 10 rounds he went with AJ, and he was in Monaco last week, still annoyed about the stoppage, but he's very much part of the heavyweight picture now. You know, how would he do against these boys?
It's a fun fight, actually. I'd say Takam against anybody to watch him. He's entertaining. There's the jab of Miller.
Flicks in the right hand as well. Wach just looks down at his corner. He hasn't seemed happy, has he, really?
No. All right, can you blame him?
Big right hand again from Miller, didn't quite land. He's got plenty of knockouts on the record, 17, but of course, you'd expect that as a heavyweight, building up the record against preliminary opposition. Throwing back, but that's just lit Miller up again.
And Wach just looks in pain as he goes back to that corner.
Yep, really. See that tall stool they've got for him. Almost 6'8", Mariusz Wach, and there's just a lethargic feel, and he's clutching his fist and he's dabbing his eye. How much more will he want to take of this, Paulie?
We'll see. You know, these are the moments where you look up at the round card girl. She's holding up a 6, and you feel exhausted, and you're telling yourself, man, I'm not even halfway through this.
And the trouble is, as much as he's tried, he hasn't really had any sort of success, no breakthrough. I mean, if he could hurt Miller just once, maybe.
Yeah, he's not been able to break the will of Jarrel Miller at all, and or even create doubt or cause doubt in the mind of Jarrel Miller. So Miller remains confident every round in doing what he's doing, and that prevents Wach from ever getting a break, because if he can create some doubt in the mind of Miller, maybe he'll get a couple breaks during the rounds, and the pressure will cease.
And Mariusz Wach just being looked at by the doctor. Is it the eye, or there's blood from the nose? I'm not quite sure what that was all about, but I don't know if they could look inside his head and find out what he's thinking. Remember an erratic heavyweight from Poland who was pretty good on his day, and that was Andrew Golota.
Who could forget him?
Sometimes he had no clue what he was going to do next. When he fought Michael Grant, he was winning it, and in the 10th he turned around and quit.
Yeah.
Asked him afterwards what happened. He said, "I quit, okay?"
What about Mike Tyson?
Yeah.
Or the fights with Riddick Bowe. Golota sure was a character.
He was a massive character, Andrew Golota. Lennox Lewis did blow him away in a round, but he could really fight. Mariusz Wach trying very hard in there to stay with Miller, but it's all getting hard. Harold Lederman for HBO has given Mariusz Wach a round. You can't agree with that, can you?
Well, I don't know, maybe if you're looking for maybe a sympathy round, maybe the first was a close one, you know, not a lot happened. But other than that, I mean, I don't really see how you can give Wach even a round.
It's the uppercut, though, from Wach on a right hand. He has caught Miller a couple of times with that. There's only 17 knockouts on the record of Wach in those 33 wins, so he's not a big hitter for a heavyweight. And maybe Team Miller realized that when they took this, that they'd be able to employ these tactics of staying with him and chipping him and breaking him down.
And that's the thing, that's kind of the Miller approach. You know, having seen him throughout his pro career, he kind of takes his approach where, you know, he's going to be calmer than you, and he's going to break you mentally as he keeps walking you down. Good shots inside by Miller.
Yep, lovely looking uppercut there.
Miller doesn't have the power of a Joshua or a Wilder, but he gets in your face, and he starts to create doubt in your mind.
Almost lobbing shots into Mariusz Wach now. And there's plenty of target to aim at for the man-mountain from Poland, who's just fallen a bit short of the top level. Has had issues with drugs tests as well. Mariusz Wach that have haunted him. Left hand, but Miller just soaks it up. I think he's got a pretty good chin, the American.
Yeah.
Does he remind you of anyone, or is he a sort of a completely different style?
Well, he's consistent, but I don't want to say he reminds me of anyone in particular, because he's a big guy. At first look at him, you don't think he's going to be this consistent to be able to work, but he knows how to take enough off the shots. Here's some action from the last round. Wach was able to get some extension on that 1-2 right there, but again, hit Miller nice, but look, Miller didn't even take a step back. And that's got to be frustrating for a guy like Wach, who's looking for any moment he can get to get rest so he can get away from assaults like this.
Mariusz Wach coming off a good win over Erkan Tepe for something called the vacant IBF East-West Europe heavyweight title. Explain what is happening in this sport.
I just can't.
What we do know is that this is a decent enough heavyweight match. Mariusz Wach and Jarrel Miller. Miller, who beat Jarrell Washington in July. He just wore him down in 8 rounds, and this taking the same sort of pattern into the 7th now, the second half. I know HBO have given Mariusz Wach a round, but it's pretty much been a similar story. Session after session, Miller doing more. Punches landed, momentum, rhythm. Doesn't look deterred at all, does he?
No, Miller looks confident. You know, Wach hasn't been able to break his will at all. As a matter of fact, Wach with the mouth wide open, he's the one with a look of worry on his face. And looks fatigued as well.
They are screaming instructions to him, the very decorated outfits of the Polish corner. And their some supports as well. Yeah,
Miller telling him, come on, come on. I don't know if Wach understands him, but he's telling him to come on.
Yep, he's goading him in there.
Basically letting him know that he's not breaking him. You're not breaking his will at all. There's nothing you have that can keep me from continuing this assault on you.
Just backs off there, back as well. And
the body language.
Yeah, he saw that, Miller.
Yeah.
And he's now trying to turn the screw. These big uppercuts, and Wach in a spot of bother. And the referee having a closer look as well. He's got to throw back here, Mariusz Wach. Plenty of time in the 7th round. But Miller saw an opening. He spotted something mentally, I think, in the pole that told him to go for it.
Yeah, I saw it on the outside too. Wach gave almost a look of resignation for a second, and Miller tried to capitalize in it and assault him.
I'll tell you what, Paul, if he does make it through this round, Mariusz Wach, it'll be very interesting to watch him walk back and see the corner.
Yeah, and even the communication in the corner where they tell him, and if he's going to even come out for the next round. Let's see. I think it'll all depend if he's able to have any success in the end of this round, the last minute. I think if Miller really controls the end of this round, he may quit.
Again, he backs off, and right arm low there of Wach. And an uppercut. He's just walking into shots here. I'm not sure how much more he can take. It must be draining for him.
Absolutely.
Heavy weather for Mariusz Wach. And these arm punches now having no effect on Miller, who's just walking through him. Could this be another similar ending to the Jarrel Washington fight?
Yeah, where he just breaks you mentally. We'll see.
Complaining about an arm, a hand maybe. He's shaking his head. I wonder if he's had enough, and the referee's having a word with the doctor. Are they going to look for a compassionate stoppage here?
Patrz. Fajnie wyszło, fajnie to wychodzi. Lewy, odchylenie, lewy, prawy, okej? Wchodzi ten lewy, odchylenie, lewy, prawy, okej?
Referee David Fields really hanging around the
Lewy,
corner.
patrzcie, lewy, odchylenie, bach, okej? Lewy,
No
odchylenie,
sign that they're going to put him out or anything like that, but the doctors are all chatting. They don't like this sustained punishment he's taking.
Okej? Jak jest blisko, złap go tak, żeby ci nic nie uderzy. Sklinczuj go mocno i przepychaj go do linii. Moimi kroczkami.
He's called a timeout, David Fields, for them to look at Mariusz Wach, the doctors. And I wonder whether this will carry on.
Time!
Push up.
They're checking the hand.
Push down. Pain.
Pain in the right hand. I think there's pain everywhere for Mariusz Wach, but he's never been a quitter. He wants to carry on. That's the fighter in him, and you've got to give him credit for that, Paulie.
Yeah, well, absolutely. You know, he's finding a way to come out each and every round, even though we keep doubting that he will. And the action doesn't give him any confidence because he's not winning or doing any better.
For Jarrel Miller, will his corner be saying more of the same, or will they be saying, right, really go for it now, get the stoppage, as Wach comes back with a combination of his own. There's the bravery of the big Pole. But is this now a chance for Miller, you know, to close the show?
Well, let's see if he has the extra gear to close it. I think Miller, one thing you see from Miller, he's just consistent in that one gear, continuing to break you, walk you down. But you don't see him raising the gear too much. And this would be a good time to see if he's able to raise that gear and really put Wach away right now. Because Wach is sitting there looking for an excuse to get out of this fight, I think.
Body shots, head shots. Jarrel Miller, he's had wins over Donovan Dennis and names like Damon McCreary, Nick Guivas, Fred Cassie, not big ones at all. But Mariusz Wach and formerly Jarrel Washington are good ones to have, good scalps for the record. I mean, if you're comparing, a Wilder or a Joshua would have had Wach well out of here by now.
Yeah, I agree with you there too. I don't think Miller has the one-punch power that those guys have. What he does have is the ability to break you, and he knows his identity. He knows who he is. He's not trying to be the one-punch guy. He's trying to be the guy to can mentally break the opponent, just like he does usually with all those kind of stoppages he gets.
So using that right hand effectively, Wach, or trying to, like that. So he's fighting through any pain. The heavyweight division about to explode in 2018. Will they make Joshua Wilder or Joshua Parker? And what about Tyson Fury, who was hanging around Monaco last week, saying, I'm shifting 7 stone and I'm coming back to knock you all out.
Tyson talks a big game. I'm sure a lot of people would love to see him back.
Joseph Parker, of course, a WBO champion. David Hay and Tony Bellew meeting on December the 17th. Shannon Briggs wants another crack. They're all at it. Even Alexander Povetkin will be back in boxing soon.
Wach is getting his hands moving this round. Almost like he's making one last stand.
He's landed almost 200 punches, Jarrel Miller, in the fight so far. And there's another one to the body. And Wach survives again.
Not a bad round by Wach. He got some shots off.
Well, he dug deep, didn't he?
Yeah.
Ja żadnej boksować, bo ręka. Słuchaj, jak cię boli ta ręka,
How does he feel?
Jak się czujesz?
And they're chatting now with the doctors.
He's not lifting his right arm so much. His right arm is hurting him.
Dobra, się.
No?
One more.
What do you
Mariusz, wiesz co?
They're going to give him one more round.
Mariusz, patrz.
And there's a lot of people around Mariusz Wach, so this is that compassion work. This is looking out for him. I mean, you've heard trainers say one more round and they give them 6 more, but I think this probably is more of the truth.
Bardzo lekko,
I mean, the only way he wins this is surely by a knockout or by something dramatic happening. And yeah, and there's no sign at all of that. Just pickpocketing him every time he can, Jarrel Miller. Work rate's been good, energy. You know, for a big guy carrying a bit of excess, and although he has lost a stone ahead of this one, still huge, but he's pretty mobile for that size.
And pretty decent speed, too.
Wach was throwing that right hand in the previous round, so if it is broken or damaged, he's just putting that to the back of his mind. We were talking off camera earlier, weren't we, about whether you'd gone into a fight injured, and you said sometimes I had to with my hands.
Yeah, of course. I think that... Oh, there it comes.
The doctors on the apron, they want it stopped. They've seen enough. And David Fields takes Jarrel Miller back to his corner. All over. Mariusz Wach is pulled out. They'd had the chats. And although the crowd boo, I think that is the right decision.
Yeah, and a credit to Wach. You know, he tried to hang in there for as long as he could. He was outclassed. And credit to Wach, and credit to his corner for finally pulling him out.
I mean, there's no point really seeing round after round. I thought a little bit like that with Carlos Takam. Everyone was complaining about the stoppage, and yeah, maybe Phil Edwards had the timing slightly wrong, but the writing was on the wall. Joshua was winning the rounds. Takam wasn't going to win the fight.
Yeah, I don't think Takam was going to win the fight, but I don't think Takam was taking the shots as cleanly as was Wach here. And I don't think his body language was as helpless. Wach was giving sort of a helpless body language for quite some rounds.
That's true. Takam definitely wanted to fight on, definitely wanted to go the distance, and maybe should have been allowed to.
I think Wach was waiting for somebody to rescue him. He didn't want to look like a quitter.
He's straight out the ring now. He didn't want to quit himself. He didn't want to do what Andrew Galotta did a few times during that very, very interesting career he had. He wanted to stick it out, but I think he was rightfully saved. There's no point taking, you know, sustained, repetitive punishment.
Absolutely, it was about time. Maybe he could have even been done a round or two earlier.
So let's flip it on its head. What do we think of Jarrel Miller's performance, and where would you go with him?
I think he continues to rise up the ranks on the heavyweight division. He continues to look the same against every opponent, where, you know, in that manner where he looks to break you down consistently. But now he's doing it against a higher level of opposition, so he continues to rise.
Could he be a voluntary for a Parker or a Joshua, a Wilder in the new year?
I think without a doubt he could be. We'll see if anybody gives him a shot.
Gets the victory. Won almost everything. Some decent combinations. Make your own mind up about what you think of Jarrel Miller at 29. Is he good enough to even be fighting for a world title? Maybe. He's part of the mix at least. He's ranked fairly highly by the governing bodies. And no one's beaten him yet.
Nope, no one's beaten him yet quite yet. And he's going to keep stepping up.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, referee David Fields, acting on the advice of a physician at ringside, calls a halt to this contest. The official time, 1 minute, 2 seconds, round number 9. The winner by technical knockout, still undefeated, Jarrel Big Baby Miller.
Yes, Jarrel Miller.